Honest J. Nowak. Oh yeah. A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to HJN. And so, I feel like getting on into a lot of new material here, because after all, I'm pretty much going to be on a roll throughout the rest of this entire year. But I still got a pretty long way to go. Exactly 1 year from now, probably be the time that season 1 might be over and done with. So I feel glad that I pretty much just caught up to a point where I can now start uploading just one episode a day. But whenever I do the math, I could probably find a spot to where I might need to upload more than one episode a day, and so that pattern is pretty much just going to play out at some point later on. But for the time being, I'm pretty much free to focus on some other projects. So right now, I feel like continuing on with HGN at the moment, and what I'm going to talk about today is form fitting. Basically the process of where clothing or anything else happens to fit snugly or close to the body. In the past, I've talked about spandex, which is probably one of the most common types of clothing that happens to feel snug or form-fitting on the human skin. So I feel like that it might be about time for me to start covering up on some of the other types of fabric, materials, and the like that happen to be utilized into clothing that can be form-fitting or loose, if that's what you prefer. But of course, I don't really know about you, but there's certainly a lot of people out there who might feel sensitive about this, so I mean, it's probably not for everybody though. There's lots of topics I've already covered that were a whole lot worse, so trust me when I say it. I've been through almost everything by now. Everything bad, that is. Though I do have yet to touch up on some more of those subjects later on, but let's not get off track here. So anyways, form-fitting in terms of clothing or whatnot. I've done the research myself, and I can conclude that besides spandex, you could try and have cotton as a way of form-fitting, but unfortunately this is not the type of fabric that would be comfortable if it feels snug or tight on the skin. However, there have been others that maybe I should point out and get them over with. There's leather that can fit snug or closely on the body. Latex, if you've ever heard about the cat suit or the, well, anything. Latex clothing does naturally fit snug or close to the skin, but sometimes it can be loose as well. And then there's many others out there. There's actually been a bubble wrap suit. I'm not making this up. There's literally someone actually made a bubble wrap suit. And that 19 actually made a commercial about it years back. It doesn't really fit form-fitting or snugly to the body, but hey, that is just crazy. And there's plenty of other materials out there that pretty much do the same thing, including nylon or polyester or some other materials out there. Now, whether spandex or not, anything that's form-fitting, depending on how you feel about snug form-fitting clothing, I mean, I know I'm pretty much good with that. Form-fitting clothing is pretty much something that I would rather have than having something that's so baggy that if I were to work with machinery, for example, it could end up getting caught on a certain part, sensitive components of the machine, and I could pretty much be trapped, or the clothes could get ruined, or I could get injured or something like that. I'd much rather have something that fits close to the body or whatnot, so I don't have these kind of accidents happen anytime I work with machines or whatnot, which I might end up doing someday. But in a way, there's lots of ways that you can put it together, but hey, form-fitting clothing is not for everybody whatsoever. But if, of course, you're like me, then maybe you'd probably give it a shot at some point. That's pretty much all I got to talk about there. So, in any case, I do hope anyone out there happens to have themselves a good time. But let's remember that HGN is still going to go down a very long path. So please be sure to stay tuned for more, if you will. And if you want to see more, go down to my channel. Make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.